When I was younger, my family was extremely poor and lived in an old mobile home on some land that my grandpa owned. This piece of land was in a very small town out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and covered in woods. The town itself was your typical small country town, where football was king and there was nothing to do but get drunk or high on the weekend. It was also the type of town, along with it being the early 90s, where one didn't particularly have to worry about locking their doors or setting an alarm. Now, our trailer was a 2-bedroom, and our parents, always putting us kids ahead of themselves, slept in the living room on the fold-out couch. My room was directly connected to it, and my sister's was down the hallway, past the kitchen, and the bathroom at the other end of the trailer. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, my dad awoke to the feeling that there was someone in the room. He looked around the room and sees a large male figure sitting in the easy chair, just feet from my bed. My dad quickly flipped on the light switch beside his bed and saw it was our neighbor from down the street called Carter. Carter was known to be a frequent drug user and was often in trouble with the law because of this. My dad asked him what the fuck he was doing here and told him to get the fuck out of the house. Carter responded by saying, "I can't get out. The demons are chasing me, and your house is the only safe one." My dad, who I should say is a fairly large and terrifying person, responded that if he didn't get out and get out quickly, that the house would be a lot less safe for him. "If I leave, they'll get me. They've been chasing me all night. If they catch me, I'm dead." My dad's response was that there was no demons, but that if he didn't get the fuck out of the house, he'd be dead. From what I've been told, as I was asleep for this part, my mom also hurled some threats, and while she may not be big, she was equally terrifying. I think it was her anger that eventually scared him off. My dad got up and locked the door and watched through the blinds that since he couldn't outrun the demons, he'd steal our old beat-up Suburban that my dad always left the keys in. He drove around for about an hour. We called the police, and it took them about that long to get to us, as the closest police station was about 20 or 30 minutes away. He eventually brought it back, and was arrested and taken to jail. He was deemed crazy and locked up in a mental institution. The scarier part is, for years after this we'd get phone calls, where all we'd hear were music lyrics like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." These calls lasted for years and followed us from house to house, even though we always had different numbers and we'd even been in different states. We always thought that it was him sending us a message. The calls stopped when I was around 12. I later found out that it was around this time that Carter thought the best thing that he could do for himself was soak himself in gasoline and set himself on fire. So this happened when I was a kid and our house was surrounded by woods, and there was only a few neighbors around us. Every once in a while during the night, at around midnight, I would lay in bed because I couldn't fall asleep. I felt a creepy vibe like something or someone was watching me. Sometimes I would hear footsteps coming from the attic above my bedroom. It sounded like someone was walking around. I went outside my bedroom into the hallway, and everyone in my family was sleeping, and their doors were closed, so I went back to my bedroom and closed my door. I was laying in my bed again, and I heard the footsteps in the attic. Then I heard something fall in my closet. I was so scared that I ran into my parents' bedroom and woke them up. They were confused at first, but then I explained to them what I heard. My mom and dad said it was probably just my imagination, and they didn't believe me. They walked with me back to my bedroom and looked around my bedroom, and then they went inside the closet. There was a board game that had spilled all over the closet floor. It was at the back of the shelf at the top of the closet, so there was no way it could have fallen without someone pushing it off. My parents helped me clean it up and put it back on the shelf. They said that there was nothing to be scared of, and they put me back to bed. They went back to bed, too, and a few minutes after they left, I heard someone whispering something. It sounded like they were calling my name. Then I saw a shadow that looked like a person walking across the wall by my closet. I thought it was a ghost, and I started freaking out again, and I grabbed my pillow and blanket and went to sleep on my parents' bedroom floor. After that, I slept on their floor for a few more nights. Eventually, I went back to sleeping in my bedroom, and when I would lay in bed again at midnight, I still heard the footsteps in the attic, and that continued every once in a while until we eventually moved away. To this day, I still don't know what or who that was, but it still freaks me out. So this actually happened about 2 hours ago. I, 26-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 36-year-old male, decided to go to the store to get oil. We have to go out 45 minutes just to get this out in a bad part of the city, but it's the only European store that has the actual stuff I grew up with eating. My family and I are from Ukraine, but live in the US, and it's difficult finding authentic places that have exactly what we had, and this is the only place I found that has it down to the exact brand. As we're driving, we're on a 3-lane road, which we need to get into one of those midsection U-turn type lanes. We get into our left turn lane, and a black car blitzes past the far right lane through the middle section, cuts us off at the left lane, which my boyfriend and I are like, what the F? And then they stop at a green light for the U-turn. My boyfriend gently honks twice in a nice way, in case they were on their phone to go since it's our green. They go forward, and we go to the parking lot directly on our right to the store we need to go to. The car in front of us, which was now on the far left lane, goes through another 2 lanes and drives onto the sidewalk to go into the parking lot we were going into, and rides nearly on our bumper, pressing their horn the entire time we drove. My boyfriend eventually decided to stop a few feet further from the store instead of parking at it, and at that point I realized his car camera was not on. I tap it since it usually starts recording when it feels motion. It didn't turn on, and we realized it somehow disconnected to his car. As he's trying to get his camera plugged back into his car, the black car pulls up, and I see 3 guys looking 18 to 20 in there. All 3 are African American. They roll their window down, and the driver reaches for something about to take out, and I'm screaming at my boyfriend, "Just drive! Go! Just go!" And my boyfriend slammed onto the gas pedal, and we drove off, and that black car does too. My boyfriend suddenly began doing donuts in the parking lot to get their car to back off, while I'm screaming, "Oh God, the police, call the police, I need to call the police," and managed to dial 911 as he was doing his last donut, and then suddenly began driving out of the parking lot. The black car was still chasing us out, and as I finally got an answer, and when the police asked where we were, I blanked out and stuttered in panic that we were currently being chased, and my boyfriend yelled out what road we were passing. He used to do Uber for 7 years and knows every street name by heart. My boyfriend said he was amazed at how quickly I made all the right decisions, and was surprised I even called the police, because he's aware I have a history of being essayed by 2 on-duty police officers 4 years ago, and I've been too terrified to call or speak to officers since. But I was so terrified of getting shot, and my only priority was to have police over so my boyfriend is safe, if something happens to him. I was so terrified my chest hurt, and I'm so happy we're safe. My boyfriend is now laughing, saying he can now prove front-wheel Dodge cars can do great donuts. I genuinely hope I never see or run into those 3 guys ever again.